What's going on, Yu-Gi-Oh fans? PlotArmorCards in the house, and today I am back with the second installment of Can Fan-Made Cards Make This Deck Meta? And today we're going to be dealing with Skull Servants. And so let's go ahead and get into this. And of course, if you feel like I have earned it, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, as it does help this channel go a long way to reaching more and more people. So let's go ahead and take a look. So this page actually has two cards. So the first one we're looking at is a fusion monster called Dark King of the Skull Servants. And I really like the art of this. It really does look like an upgraded version of the King of the Skull Servants. And it's a level 1, so already it's an instant fusion target. Zombie fusion effect, King of the Skull Servants plus 1 dark monster. Most likely will not be using it in that way since we have instant fusion. If this card is fusion summoned, returned all face-up banished dark zombie monsters to their respective graveyards. This can be used extremely well, actually, because there's a lot of different ways that you can end up getting your cards banished and whatnot. This really does counteract certain annoying cards in the meta right now, like bestial monsters, etc., etc. So I think this is really good. Definitely a step in the right direction, I would say. The original attack of this card is the combined number of dark zombie monsters in both players' graveyards times 1,000. This card's name becomes King of the Skull Servants while it's banished or in the graveyard. Plus, it's King of the Skull Servants. And it is a better King of the Skull Servants because not only is it just King of the Skull Servants, it's just dark zombie monsters in general. So maybe Zombie World could also kind of make use of this deck. So overall, I would say this is a solid card. Must have if this card was real. I would definitely be picking this up. Next, White Archduke. Another card that has insanely nice. I really like what it's done here, like a little magic coming out and whatnot. And this is the first time I've seen like Skull Servants on the artwork though, so it's interesting. Cannot be normal summon set, must be special summon from your hand by banishing 2 Skull Servants from your graveyard. I already don't like that. Once per turn, you contribute 1 zombie monster, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase. This card's name becomes Skull Servant. One of the I don't really like that, if I'm being honest. That's not good enough to be banishing 2. Because you have to tribute your own monster just to target specifically monster your opponent controls to take control of it, and it's not even permanent. It's till the end phase. So I don't like that. There are better ways to take control of your opponent's card without having to banish 2 of your Skull Servants. But it does count as a Skull Servant, so maybe you'd like it as just like dump fodder for the grave, you know? Really like this card. This card I probably would avoid. Next, we got ourselves Queen of the Skull Servants. If you control a face-up King of the Skull Servants, this card cannot be targeted for attack, so it gives itself nice protection. Face-up King of the Skull Servants you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects, plus it gives King of the Skull Servants some protection. Really nice. The original attack of this card is the combined number of banished level 1 zombie-type monsters times 1,000. Okay, so it's like King of the Skull Servants, but it works with banishing, I guess. That's a problem, though, because you don't want your cards banished to begin with, and this kind of... I would say it makes it so that there's 2 different goals going on at the same time, and while you're focusing on strengthening your King of the Skull Servants, you're weakening your Queen, and vice versa. However, this would be kind of nice if you were to run White Archduke. Actually, that probably could help out a lot with this card. The original attack of this card, we already ran through that. If this card leaves the field during an opponent's card effect, you can return 1 banished zombie monster from the banished zone to the graveyard. Special summon this card. Okay, I would say no right off the bat, just because I don't like the fact that it's the exact opposite of King of the Skull Servants, which I understand why they did it, because it's the Queen and King is the King, obviously. So, but I just think that actually this thing's effect quite literally is depending on undoing what the whole deck is based around, you know. So, this one I don't like as much either. Next, we got ourselves Lord of the Skull Servants. This thing looks really dope. I really wanted extra deck monsters for this archetype. We don't have any yet. It takes 3 level 1 monsters. All right. You can also XC summon using 1 of King of the Skull Servants you control as an XC material. If you do, attach 2 Skull Servant monsters from your graveyard to this card. Okay, nice. Really easy way to summon it as well. Because if you have King of the Skull Servants, more often than not, you probably have at least 2 monsters in the grave too. This face-up card is treated as a level 1 monster. Once per turn, you can detach an Xyz material from this card, then target 1 Skull Servant or white monster you control. Except this card, that card's attack becomes 3,000, unaffected by the effects of spell and trap cards. Until the end of this turn, when this card is sent to the graveyard, target 1 King of the Skull Servants in your possession that is either banished or you give a special summon. Wow, I like this card. It gives... So, your entire deck revolves around King of the Skull Sevens, but the problem is all your other cards are really, really weak, right? So it does kind of go around that. Plus, it gives them some protection. Plus, it has the recyclability at the end. So, yes, I would definitely like to see something like this from the extra deck for this card. Next, we got ourselves a Link monster. It's a Link 1, Warlock of the Skull Servants. This thing, I like the art on this too. It's really, really nice. Whoever did this, very detailed, very, very good artist. It just takes one level 3 or lower zombie monster. That's pretty generic. Maybe it's usable in regular zombie decks as well. This card is Link summoned. You can send a number of level 3 or lower zombie monsters from your deck to the grave. Yo-ho. This would break Skull Servants, but it has the potential to break regular zombies as well. Equal to the number of monsters your opponent currently controls. Then this card gains 300 attack for each card sent to the graveyard by this effect. That's crazy. If you're going second, you're going to be dumping a lot of cards in the deck, or in the graveyard from your deck, which will in turn pop off a lot of different combos. That's really nice. This card's name becomes Skull Servants while it is in the field or in the graveyard. If this Link summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one level 3 or lower zombie monster from your deck. Plus the ability to straight summon your boss monster off that effect. That's really nice. I do like this card. Really, really nice. I think this would be too broken if you put level 3 or lower zombie monster. Maybe say one level 3 or lower Skull Servant. Or you can use its effect to not specify zombie monster. Or you can say level 3 or lower card that mentions Skull Servant in its text. That would definitely stop it from being as broken and generically abused. But really good card. Really, really good card. So far, this is my favorite. And then lastly, we have Castle of the Skull Servants, a field spell card. When this card is activated, you can add one level 3 or lower zombie monster or one Skull Servant spell / trap, except Castle of the Skull Servants, from your deck to your hand. That's a problem. Well, in theory, this is a good card. You can add level 3 or lower zombie monster, but we don't have that many Skull Servant spells or traps, do we? Not that I know of. I could be mistaken there, but yeah, but you can use it obviously to add one level 3 or lower zombie monster, so it's not as bad as you'd think. But if we get more spells and traps, this card gets better and better. So accept King of the Castle of the Skull Servants from your deck to your hand. Once per turn during damage calculation, if your King of the Skull Servants or Skull Servant battles an opponent's monster, you can send one level 3 or lower zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. Your monster gains equal to that level of that monster sent to the graveyard times 300. So not only is it going to gain 300 times the amount of stars, your boss monster essentially, because that's usually what's going to be fighting, right? It will also gain the effect of whatever you dump. Most likely you're going to be dumping White Baking if you haven't used it already, because White Baking is once per turn, I believe, or White Prince. White Prince is not once per turn, so it'll be one of those two cards in turn bumping up those effects, boosting your boss monster by like 3 grand, sometimes 4 grand, depending on which one is in your hand, right? So or which one you dump, sorry. So overall, I would say these are solid cards. Really like old Warlock. I really like my Castle here. I do like my Lord of the Skull Servants. Or I don't know why I'm saying my. These are fan-made things. Does not belong to me. Don't like this one as much. Don't like this one as much. I like this one as much. I don't like summoning it the normal way, obviously. But overall, I would say these are solid cards. Definitely nice to see fans giving attention to this archetype, because I wish Konami would. It would be nice to see some sort of support for this deck. However, I do believe we got White Baking was the newest support. So, but one thing I'd say is there's not much. There is some protection in the form of monsters, but there's not like any negation. I'd really like to see some negation for this deck, just to get around like certain annoying cards that you know your opponent's going to have. That would be really, really nice. Overall, though, I can't complain. These are really, really good cards. They excel at doing what the archetype was meant to do, which is just dump cards in the grave in order to boost your boss monster. So can't complain about that. I just wish it would have the ability to maybe get some negates off, hold its own against some of the more competitive meta things. But you guys can let me know what you guys think about this support in the comments down below. And this is PlotArmorCards, guys, signing out for the day. And if you like what you see, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next video.